another video today. I was going to react to a Professor Skye video and have a discussion about what he was talking about in the video. But the video that I was looking for is gone, or maybe I'm on the wrong YouTube channel. I don't know. So maybe it's the universe, maybe it's God saying, "Hey, leave it alone." I don't know. But we're gonna see what he has to say about two things I wanted to say on Culture United 11, Atlanta's original sin. We want to see what the original sin is. Give some points to kind of see what he's talking about, some context, some nuance, whatever like that. I'm not going to say that I know more than Professor Skye or whatever like that, but just gives a little some inputs or alternate perspectives if I have any on what he says the original sin is. Also, I do think people are a little harsh on Atlanta, but I can't say I understand because I don't. The thing about Atlanta, and I think it was Stat Core that brought it up, is like Atlanta's been carrying hip hop for a long time. Atlanta itself has been carrying hip hop for a long time. A lot of people like to give the credit. A lot of people love to discredit the South and the South's impact on hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? Because it started in New York, so people are so desperate to kind of keep that feel of it. But the South has contributed a lot to the popularity of hip hop. When you think about some of the biggest acts of in hip hop history, a lot of them, you talking about Outkast, Andre 3000, you're talking about Lil Wayne, you're talking about the artists that are influenced by Southern music. You understand what I'm saying? Just the different cultures, the different lingos, mumble rap. Even though I feel like that's outdated term or whatever like that, but just there's been so many different sounds and evolutions and phases of hip hop that you can attribute to the South. New York didn't really try too much to evolve its sound until late 2010s. For majority of New York's, it evolved its sound a little bit. The 90s, 2000s, 2010s, they kind of tried to keep that same boom bap style. They started to evolve a little bit once UK rap started, when UK drill rap started. They evolved their sound into that New York drill sound, but New York hasn't had as many evolutions of it. I'm not saying it hasn't had any, but it has had as many evolutions of its sound as the South has. And because the South has so many evolutions of its sound, it's influenced the sounds of a lot of other places. You understand what I'm saying? So I do feel like I don't know what it. I think I kind of know what it is, but there is just this weird narrative about Southern hip hop, Southern rappers, Atlanta, all these things that just I don't know. I think I'll have to look deeper into that. But let's see what he says is the original sin is. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Shout out Professor Skye, by the way.
Last week, I had my happy and hopefully triumphant return to Culture United. And while I was there were a couple things I wanted to say, but didn't.
How you doing?
Why not? Well, listen, I don't want to derail the conversation. There's a certain flow. It's a delicate thing. And I got gambling rumor off the ground. That's what I really wanted. I didn't
How you doing?
Out of myself. That's another thing I didn't want. So here are the two things that I maybe would have said if I felt like there was space for it in the conversation. One was the conversation about Atlanta and the sort of downfall of Atlanta, and I want to make the point that the thing that contributed to the rise of Atlanta rap and the party with which it is affiliated has also led to its downfall and to the death of the party. That is the investment in real criminality instead of talented fake gangsters and people who are merely adjacent to the streets as opposed to in the streets. The second point I'd like to talk.
So he's saying, well, let me run that back. How you doing? El Bugatti. How you doing? Same to you. Don't give up, bro. Whatever you into, whatever passion you have, stick to that. Because it's your passion. Never let nobody out-talk you out of something you love to do. They don't have the same love for it as you do. Don't let it. Just work on always trying to get better. Get better at what you love. Keep investing time and energy into it. Don't let nobody tell you not to give that shit up. Because they don't want it as bad as you. They don't.
With which it is affiliated has also led to its downfall and to the death of the party. That is the investment in real criminality instead of talented fake gangsters and people who are.
So he's saying what led to the rise in Atlanta is what's leading to the downfall.
I want to make the point that the thing that contributed to the rise of Atlanta rap and the party with which it is affiliated has also led to its downfall and to the death of the party.
No, so see, and I disagree. The reason I disagree with this, I'm gonna see where he's taking this, but I disagree with this take only because The rise of Atlanta started in the 90s. It did not start. A lot of people like to say, "Oh, Atlanta started to pop when Future came out. Atlanta started to pop when Thug came out." Future is a product of the Dungeon family. The Dungeon family gave us Goody Mob and Outkast. Outkast was one of the, if not the biggest hip hop duo of all time. After that, then you start getting a Young Dro, a Young Jock, a lot of that what's it called, snap rap that existed in 2006, 2007 was Atlanta's music. You understand what I'm saying? Then you get Waka Flocka, and then you get Roscoe Dash, and then you start getting to the Futures and the what's the dude name? What the fuck is that dude name that was on the Racks on Racks song with Future? Damn. But then you start getting the Futures, then you start getting the Thugs, then you start getting, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Atlanta has consistently had someone in the hip hop conversation. So I can't say that the criminality and the investment in criminals has been what led to the rise of Atlanta, because as far as I know, Outkast wasn't doing no crazy street raps. They were just very talented artists, very talented rappers that was putting out very great music, very great bodies of work, and it built and things started from there. Things started from there. So the rise of Atlanta didn't start from, it turned into that, but it didn't start from Atlanta's criminality or Atlanta's investment in criminality. That's where it turned into, but it didn't start from there. It started from just a family, a collective of artists making great music, great bodies of work, putting it out, and becoming some of the biggest artists in the world. Andre 3000, you know what I'm saying? You can trace majority of current hip hop to Andre 3000. Even though they like to discredit him, a Young Thug will love to discredit Andre 3000. He never gave anything to Atlanta. He literally gave everything to Atlanta. There wouldn't be a Future without Andre 3000. And if there's no Future, there's no Thug. And if there's no Thug, there's no Gunna, there's no Baby, there's no, you know what I'm saying? Like, all these people come from Andre 3000. You understand what I'm saying? So I disagree with that. Atlanta investment in criminality is the beginning of its rise, because Atlanta was rising way before that.
Investment in real criminality instead of talented fake gangsters and people who are merely adjacent to the streets as opposed to in the streets. The second point I'd like to talk about today is Stat Quo's declaration that there are only 10 rap superstars. I just love that idea. I was like frantic. Let's see my notes here. I like frantically wrote out while I.
Yeah, I like that when he said that in the Culture United. When you think about it, he's being truthful. When you talk about what a superstar is, when you talk about, because we like to change the names of stuff and say, oh, this person's a megastar, this person's a superstar, this person's a star, this person's underground. Like, you know what I'm saying? But especially nowadays, we kind of start blending the tiers and putting people in categories they don't belong in. So when he said there's only been 2 superstars in hip hop, when you think about it, when you think about what a superstar really is, like he mentioned, Michael Jordan is a superstar. LeBron James is a superstar. Kobe Bryant is a superstar. Magic Johnson is a superstar. Was a superstar in basketball. When we talk, Larry Bird was a superstar. People that kind of like brought something to whatever it is, the sport, changed the sport, evolved the sport, were bigger than the sport. You know what I'm saying? So when you're thinking about hip hop, the history of hip hop, you can probably only name 10 people like that. And I know he said, who did he name? I forgot the people he named, but Snoop Dogg was one of them. Tupac was one of them. Was Biggie a super? I think Biggie was on the way to being a superstar, but I don't think he was a superstar. He was a superstar, but Tupac definitely transcended hip hop. You know what I'm saying? He was an activist. He was a movie star. He was all these things. Tupac was definitely a superstar. Who did I say? Snoop Dogg. Eminem definitely a superstar. Who else? Nelly. I think Nelly's a superstar because Nelly can still do. I won't say do numbers today, but I want to say Nelly was a superstar. 50 Cent is a superstar. Wayne, I could say, is in that conversation. I could be wrong, but I think Wayne was a superstar. People who don't know hip hop knew who Lil Wayne was. Just, you know what I'm saying? Because Wayne was on everything. Drake, he said Kendrick's not a superstar, but I think at this point, he performed at the Super Bowl. It doesn't get any bigger than the Super. Literally, it doesn't get any bigger than Superstar. Jay-Z, people know who Jay-Z is. Even if they don't listen to hip hop, they know who Jay-Z is or they've heard of Jay-Z. Puff is a superstar. And then after that, you just get to people that were big in hip hop, but maybe aren't well-known names outside of hip hop. And then you got to think, like he said in the thing too, for you to be established superstar, you have to still be a big name after your prime. Eminem is still a big name after his prime. Eminem still does good numbers, even though it ain't 2000, 2005 anymore. You could say the same for Wayne still creates conversation way after his prime. Obviously, Listen Carter is way after his prime, but he still creates conversation. He's still a subject. Drake is way past his prime, but he's still a part of a conversation. Jay-Z doesn't even drop music anymore at this point. Still a part of the conversation. Is Nas a superstar? Nas might be a debatable one because I don't think people know Nas, but I don't think Nas is as big as maybe a Jay-Z, Eminem, whatever like that. But I get that point. When he said that, I was like, yeah, but at the same time, I also feel like that's megastar. Kanye West is another one, another superstar or megastar. But I feel like that's the megastar category he's talking about. But when you make that list, then you're like, okay, everybody under them basically are just big in hip hop. You know what I'm saying? There's not many. I would say Cardi B is a superstar. I think people know Cardi B, even if they don't know her music, they know the name. I would say same as Meg Thee Stallion. I could be wrong, but I'll see what his list is. They may be more than 10. I would say maybe 10 to 15 superstars and megastars in hip hop. Is Meg Thee Stallion doing crazy numbers? No, but I do feel like her name and her likeness is bigger than her music, which I don't know if that would put her in superstar category. It's debatable on what if we got to determine what is the criteria of a superstar to be like, okay, is this person a superstar? Because they say Ice Cube isn't a superstar, but a lot of people know who Ice Cube is. You understand what I'm saying? Whether it's from his movies or from his music or whatever like that. So if we're talking strictly music, then maybe you wouldn't put a Meg Thee Stallion in there. You understand? Even though she has hits, and I brought it up, I talked about it weeks ago. She has more hits than some of the people in the big three. The people that we say are the big three, Meg Thee Stallion and Cardi B have more #1 songs than them. You understand what I'm saying? But that's a different conversation.
And it could be, and so I have a list. It's actually 14 rappers long, but I want
to. Look, he just said. I said maybe it's 10 to 15. That was just me going off the dome. But he said he got 14.
Division. Like there's two different kinds of rap superstars. Those who are rap superstars because of their music, and those who are rap superstars because of their music and visual media. So we're going to kind of try to divide those, come up with a list, get the conversation going. So thing number one, how the rejection of fake gangsters led to Atlanta becoming the rap capital and perhaps ultimately led to its downfall. For that, I want to refer to this book, Rap Capital by Joe Coscarelli. Get my glasses on here.
I really feel like,
page 44.
Before we get into this, I do feel like, I don't want to say their investment in, and I'm going to see where his point goes, but before he gets to that point, I do want to say, I feel like the downfall of Atlanta isn't really the point of their investment in the criminality. You can say maybe that contributes to it, but I really do feel like, and maybe it does tie in, I just feel like Atlanta's downfall comes from the fact that right now we're in a time period in music, a time period in hip hop specifically, where you have to stand for something. You have to show integrity. You have to be, I'm not saying this is a blanket across it, but there's a good portion of fans that are looking for people that stand for something, that have integrity, that have, you know what I'm saying? Because people are kind of tired of the cookie cutter music. Though I'm just trying to get a hit. I'm just trying to get a bag. I'm doing features. Whoever give me the money to do features. I think people are kind of looking for, especially, I think it does spread across music actually. People are looking for someone to stand on something. Music is supposed to be a representation of the times that they exist in. And I don't feel like enough people are making music that represents the time that we're in. And Atlanta has never really made music. There's not many Atlanta artists that make music that speak to the times. A lot of their music speaks to hyper individualism, capitalism, you know what I'm saying, misogyny, and all these things like that I feel like some people are kind of done with. People are going through a little bit too much, especially when we're talking about women, when we're talking about, marginalized groups are going through a lot. So I feel like this is not the time for fucking bitches and getting money music. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like that's what's leading more to the downfall, is that there's not an Atlanta. When New York was New York, they had artists that are gonna be messengers and tell you about the struggles that's going on in the community, that are gonna talk on something, not gonna be hyper political, but may sprinkle in some things a little bit like that to kind of be like, okay, yeah, I can feel what's going on. I feel like Atlanta hasn't made its name known, especially since we're past Andre 3000 days. Atlanta hasn't made its name known as the region of music that is going to give you a real message. It's going to give you something to hold on to, give you something to feel. They're just going to give you a vibe. And there's an audience for that. But that audience isn't the majority anymore. You know what I'm saying? Majority people are like, I'm cool on that right now. Like I get it, you want to get lit, you want to have fun, but there's a lot of shit going on in the world right now, and we need more than that. And I think that's what's leading to the downfall a lot more than what he's saying it being the investment in criminality. Like I said, that contributes to it, but I feel like it's really just people don't want party music no more, and Atlanta wants to just keep giving you what has worked. And I think it's the same with Drake. Drake keeps wanting to give you things that worked, but right now people aren't looking for that. We're looking for something to feel, something that like people really fuck with. The birds don't sing, because people can relate to, I lost a parent, I lost somebody, and now I have to deal with the effects of that. And I think that's what people are looking for. Not a lot of Atlanta artists are willing to do that, because they care about what's going on with them, what's going to get the money, fucking bitches, or I'm lit, or I'm the biggest superstar in the world, I'm doing this and I'm doing that. You understand what I'm saying? I think that's what's contributed to it a lot more than just investing in criminality, because the entire country invests in criminality at this point. Criminality is America. That is the culture of America, is investing in criminals. Yet certain criminals, we pick and choose the criminals we want to invest in, but that is the culture of America at this point. So I don't think it's them investing in criminality that's making them downfall. I just think they have nothing to say,
He explains,
or at least they refuse to say something. We don't know how they feel politically. We don't know what they stand on. A lot of them are like, oh, we still riding with Drake, while the audience is saying, oh, we're not rocking with Drake. And that's the biggest thing too, is majority of Atlanta, not Future at this point, but majority of Atlanta is like, nah, we still rocking with Drake because he did so much for us. And the rest of hip hop, not all of hip hop, but a rest of hip hop is kind of like, we're not really rocking with him right now. We're looking for something to feel. Kendrick gave us something to feel. He kind of changed. He kind of opened our eyes. Like, hey, we're done with this music. We're done with the killer music. We're done with the fucking bitches getting money music. We want something else. And they're like, nah, we're going to keep giving you what help the thing. And then people are complaining, oh, there's no more fun music and this and that. And it's just like, there's still fun music. There's still music that you want, is just not popular. And people want what's popular. They don't want what they want. They want it to be popular. You understand what I'm saying?
What I call the original sin of Atlanta rap. He talks about Lee as a very powerful record label owner and manager kind of guy, in a power broker in Atlanta. And he talks about someone pulling up, and someone who held the purse strings and was trying to get one of his clients to get signed to Lee's label. Upon pulling up, Lee met the man holding the purse strings, a hustler known as Lil J, who had designs on becoming the next big rap CEO like Master P. Lil J was 21, a native of Hawkinsville, Georgia, and he had a 2001 Lexus sitting on 20-inch rims. He knew of Lee's work with Pastor Troy and seemed open to input on his would-be label. But Lil J declared firmly he was not a rapper. Lee immediately knew otherwise.
That's another thing that's killing Atlanta too. That's another thing that is because Atlanta created this divide. Atlanta created this divide in hip hop, created this divide in rap. It's not just Atlanta, there's other rappers, but Atlanta's influence created those other rappers that follow that same sentiment. They created this divide in hip hop, and now that the other side of hip hop is kind of getting more attention, or people are craving that side of hip hop more, they are the ones that are falling victim to it. You understand what I'm saying? You had a lot of rappers, especially in the late 2010s, that were coming out saying, I'm not a rapper, I'm not doing all that shit that they doing now, we just trying to get lit, we just trying to get money, I'm just doing it for the money, I'm just trying to get the bag. That's cool. Stay over there. You know what I'm saying? And right now, people aren't about that. Especially right now, the economy is trash. People are losing their jobs. People aren't able to pay their bills. People are really going through a lot of shit financially. They do not want to hear, oh, I'm just trying to get the bag. I'm just trying to get the money on fucking these bitches. I just bought a new car. I just did this and that. I just spent money on a new watch. I just did this. Like, people aren't trying to hear that right now when they can barely pay their bills. You understand what I'm saying? During COVID, when everybody had the PPPs and everybody was getting the stimulus checks and all that, that was the perfect time because people felt like they could live vicariously through you. But right now, it ain't working no more. You understand what I'm saying? But that I'm not a rapper rhetoric, even though you're obviously a rapper because you rap, you may not rap good. And that's kind of why people create that excuse, because they don't want to be held to the standards of good rappers. So they want to say, I'm not a rapper, so you don't hold me to that standard of good rappers, so you don't be critical of my raps. You know what I'm saying? But when you create that culture, then you start getting people who don't care about the lyrics anymore. And that's exactly where we're at today, where there's a certain group of people that don't care what you're saying or what you're talking about. They just want to vibe. You understand what I'm saying?
Despite his protestations, Lil J had laid down a few cursory verses on his artist songs, and his raspy country drawl, along with his untouchable, seen-it-all demeanor and street shine, were what stuck out to the budding talent scout.
Lil J.
Lil J wasn't a musician yet, but there was something there to mold, and soon enough he had a new stage name, Young Jeezy. Lee's work with Jeezy would be a kind of formula for the manager and his artists, one that would be repeated in hoods around the country, but especially in Atlanta. Over and over again for the years to come, a street guy with excess swag and cash, or at least a little hood patron, might bristle first at the idea of making art out of his life, but with the encouragement and ear of someone like Lee, he would come to see music as a path towards peace and prosperity that the streets could never offer. Rap audiences grow.
So what I'm gonna stop right here real quick. So what he's doing is he's not tracing the beginning of Atlanta hip hop or the beginning of the rise of Atlanta hip hop. He's tracing to the beginning of trap, the beginning of trap music, which you can argue who started trap, was it if it was T.I. or Jeezy, but he started from the beginning of trap music with Jeezy, and he's going to say, and that investment in Jeezy is, you know, what brought Atlanta up, and then, you know, took them off or whatever, like, and that's what's going to take them off. But that's not the origin of Atlanta rap, though. You understand what I'm saying? There were rappers out of Atlanta before Andre 3000 Outkast, but they were the first like Atlanta rappers that was big. If you're not starting from there, then I think you're doing a disservice to Atlanta hip hop by saying that the origin and the beginning of Atlanta's rise in hip hop started from Jeezy, when it started really from Andre and Outkast, which was what, 93, 94? You understand what I'm saying?
Going more obsessed with authenticity, not to mention the production and sale of drugs and everything that lifestyle afforded, hustlers who actually knew the game in every detail came with an upper hand and had stories to tell. In Atlanta, a lot of people could recognize the real thing. So it's pretty clear. Authenticity over artistry. A specific kind of authenticity, a kind of criminal authenticity. Is it any shock that this is all crumbling down with these RICO cases and all this other horse hockey, when the primary thing that was prized was not talent, it was actual street authenticity? Later on, he talks about how Young Thug was brought in basically the exact same way. It was Pee Wee who first brought Young Thug to Brick Factory, which was like Gucci Mane's like studio space. Then a beautifully scraggly string bean with face tattoos and a mess of mangled teeth like shattered glass. Young Thug was from the south of the city, a total stranger to Gucci Mane, Mr. of East Atlanta. But after taking one look at him, Gucci repurposed the $25,000 in cash he had waiting to pay Pee Wee to sign Pee Wee, and gave it to Thug instead, certain he'd found a superstar. So you see, it's about...
So, I had a thought, I forgot what I was about to say. Oh, so this story of Jeezy that he's talking about, how the authenticity and the drug dealing and stuff like that was what made people invest, because they can feel like they're really hearing an authentic person telling an authentic story or whatever like that in their music, and that's what Atlanta decided to invest in. You understand what I'm saying? My only thought about that and saying that that's like an Atlanta thing is because when you say that was the appeal of Jay-Z, right? That you felt like he was being authentically himself and he was telling real drug dealer stories. He was really, what it is, 99 bricks or whatever it was. Like, wasn't that the appeal of Jay-Z too? You know what I'm saying? And they invested in a Jay-Z. They invested in a 50 Cent. You could say the same thing about 50 Cent. Like, New York did the exact same thing. So I don't think it's Atlanta's original sin, because I think New York did, and New York is also the reason why New York kind of started falling off is because of the exact same thing that he's about to say. He's trying to say about Atlanta. A lot of the rappers that's coming up out of New York have been getting arrested and have been falling victim to, I live my raps, I'm not a rapper, I'm really a gangster. You understand what I'm saying? Like that. When you're thinking about the current drill scene, it doesn't just start from the drill scene. If we're tracing what's going on in Atlanta right now to Jeezy, then you have to trace what's going on right now to Jay-Z, to Biggie, to 50, to all these other people that were authentic in their music, were selling you a lifestyle, selling you these things, the street life and the luxury of it. And now you have artists nowadays, just like in Atlanta, that only care about cash, money, carrying guns, this and that, living that life, being authentic, or whatever like that. So I feel like this isn't just an Atlanta problem that he's speaking on. I feel like this has been a problem all around hip hop, to where we started valuing authenticity over actually being good. Oh, I don't care what he's saying. I don't care about the artistry. And that's kind of, and the crazy thing is, Kendrick is both. Kendrick is both. Kendrick is both authentic, but also an artist. You understand what I'm saying? But people kind of downplay, because they kind of look at him more as an artist person, activist, conscious rapper, than an authentic. Because Kendrick's subject matter is not that different than Young Thug's subject matter. Kendrick's just better at talking about it than the Young Thug. Kendrick talks about gang violence. Kendrick talks about being a part of the streets and the mentality. He just goes way deeper. He's not surface level with it. Kendrick breaks it down. You understand what I'm saying? He touches on black struggles and stuff like that, like a Lil Baby did on what's this shit called? What's one in the back on white? Big knife. That song. Like, Atlanta rappers touch on certain things, and Kendrick just goes deeper into these subject matter. But Kendrick doesn't. When you're talking about subject matter and what Kendrick talks about, I wouldn't say currently, but especially Good Kid, Mad City time, Kendrick was making gangster rap. It was just on a deeper, more conscious level, understanding that you're a product of these things, and these things are wrong. Even when you're going into Mr. Morale and Big Stepper, he's talking about being a product of the rapper lifestyle that a Young Thug and a Future talks about. Being a victim of those things and the effects that it has on you. Understand what I'm saying? So I don't think this is just an Atlanta issue. This became an issue all around hip hop, of people valuing being really from the street, really like that, over. It's the same thing with Chicago. G Herbo, I think. G Herbo and what's the dude name? Chief Dude, whatever his name is. Those are like the biggest artists out of Chicago right now. But a few years ago, you had Dirk, you had Polo G, you had Vaughn, you had G Herbo, you had FBG Duck. You had a good amount of people coming up out of Chicago, and now they're all gone. They're all either dead or in jail for the exact same thing that he's saying Atlanta is falling victim to. So I don't think it's an Atlanta thing. I think it's been a cultural thing. It's been the party dying, really. All those people that were valuing being really from the streets over their artistry are now suffering the consequences of those things. You understand what I'm saying? It's either you die, sadly to say, you go to jail, sad to say, or people just move on. You understand what I'm saying? The only person that's not working for is Future. And I think that's just because Future makes good music. Future, even some people can argue that, but Future makes good music, and Future does kind of value the art, but he's not trying to be the super hard gangster dude. He's just trying to be, hey, I'll be minding my business and I'm gonna put some music out. I'll be in the studio all day. Like, I think Future's the only one that's kind of exempt of what's going on right now, and that's because he's Future at this point.
The appearance of authenticity, it's about the authenticity, and it is not the artistry. I would argue that that's the issue, that any art that is built not on art cannot last forever. You can't have it be forever. And that's what's funny about the history of rap, is that rap is filled with fake gangsters. That's part of what makes it, it's part of what made the early days. I mean, we talk about gangster rap, and okay, everybody knows that Eazy-E really dealt rocks, but he did. But like, if you actually do his biography, like, not much. Like, he wasn't much of a criminal. I mean, he was. But it didn't really matter, because he wasn't writing his lyrics anyways. Ice Cube was. Ice Cube was the architect of the modern crack-selling gangster rapper who is an architect. He has a degree in architectural drafting from the Phoenix Institute of Technology. Okay? Was not about.
Yeah, Ice Cube's another example. Like I said, for New York, you could say it's Jay-Z was the exact same thing. Like, where you put Jeezy, you can say Jay-Z did the exact same thing earlier than Jeezy, where you represented this authenticity or stuff like that. Like, he's talking about not being authentic, not being, you know what I'm saying, really like that or whatever like that, but still being able to make a name in hip hop. But then when you talk about Atlanta and investing in people that are really like that, there's a couple rappers that we celebrate and we love that really were like that.
He's a real rapper
from different genres. I mean, different regions.
Was adjacent to the streets. By the streets, I mean like the criminality that happens in the disadvantaged neighborhoods of the United States of America, the streets. Okay, And Read My Soul, you should really watch, he does a lot of work on this as well, about like the difference between the streets and the hood, and that everyone grows up in the hood, but not everyone goes into the streets. I have obviously no life experience with the streets or the hood, right? I mean, I'm here in my daughter's bedroom, a boy genius poster behind me, right? So definitely check out his stuff on there. But I think what's important.
Yeah, I like that too. There is a difference between the hood and the streets, which most people know. I want to say most people know that. Most black people understand the difference. You know what I'm saying? Or even Spanish people understand the difference between growing up in the hood and growing up in the streets. You understand what I'm saying? The streets can influence the hood, but it ain't the same thing, you know? What's poppin'? Wyatt, Shalene?
Party is dying. We're just going to see less of an emphasis on authenticity, on people who really kill people, and people who really slang rock. And we can just go back to people who are adjacent to the streets, in but not of the streets. Who is the biggest rap star right now? The king of adjacent to the streets, Kendrick Lamar. That's what Good Kid, Mad City is. That's why it's such an amazing album, because he's a good kid, but he's in the Mad City.
You can argue adjacent. You know what I'm saying? People like to say that, like, oh, you're not really like that, you're not really from that, or you just adjacent, whatever like that. You can argue adjacent. I'm not saying that Kendrick is 100% in the streets, but from some of the stories that you hear, whatever like that, adjacent be like, oh, I had some friends, but I wasn't really like that. I know some people. I used to hang around with some people, but I wasn't really like that. But if you hear some stories, you could say, oh, was he adjacent? I don't know. People got stories. Kendrick, pressing them on some shit. Kendrick, fights, all that shit like that.
They had some small amount of.
And if the story in Good Kid, Mad is a true story, if you there for a drive by, are you adjacent? If you are present for a drive by, where your partners and y'all all together, and y'all shooting at the ops, are you adjacent to the street? I think at that point you in there. If you are present, if you're an accomplice to a attempted crime, not saying that Kendrick was, but I'm saying adjacent is a little shaky. I feel like adjacent is, oh yeah, I know my partners, but we chill, we fuck around, we smoke together, whatever like that. But I don't be, whenever they doing their thing, I do my thing. Which you can say Kendrick probably was like that because he was on the top, and out of the top wasn't gonna let him veer too far off. But if the stories of Good Kid, Mad City are based off of his growing up in the city, and he was really present for some drive-bys and all the stuff like that, adjacent is shaky.
The point that they draw on or that they discuss out of necessity or out of exploring, trying to figure out who they are. But for the most part, most of the best rappers, the best artists, are those who put artistry above authenticity.
Right.
And who are adjacent to the streets. Think of Nas. Think of probably the best example. Well, I'm not sure he would like it, but Tupac.
Right.
Tupac is someone who is very capable of describing a lifestyle, of describing what he sees around him without necessarily being the thing that he can describe.
Right.
I know I'm going to annoy a lot of people on there, but I love Tupac. And part of what I think makes Tupac so interesting is what is his actual relationship to criminals and criminality. I mean, there have been books written about it. It's very complex. I don't have the answers, but it's a complicated question.
But it's not like Tupac's never been to jail.
Of the in but not
or wasn't, I want to say criminal, because I hate this. Criminal, I feel like it's such a harsh word. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like criminal, just to say, because somebody was involved in a crime or done a crime or went to jail, whatever like that. Like criminal, I feel like it's just like, I don't know.
Or the maximum variability with how you.
Because people make mistakes. That's the thing. People make mistakes. Especially when you're young. You're gonna make mistakes. There's so many crimes that some people don't even know are crimes. You could just do some bullshit and get locked up for it. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like sometimes just saying criminal, I feel like those words are it's just blankety, because there's criminals and there's criminals. You understand what I'm saying? I feel like people kind of all put it all under the same banner, and I feel like that don't be fair. Because like I said, some people make mistakes, especially when they're young.
Because you can say it's something to run away from, something to aspire to, something to heal from, something to fight, something to fix, something to praise, something to lament, like all those things. And I think that there used to be gangsters fit into this category as well. I mean, Jay-Z and Biggie, they weren't rapping about doing it, they were rapping about having done it. And I think that's a very big difference. Same thing with Clips. I mean, what percentage What percentage of Jay-Z's life was he actually selling cocaine? At this point, it is a fraction of his life.
But as I said, I brought up Jay-Z. Can't you say the same about Jeezy? As far as I know, Jeezy, I'm not going to throw him under the bus, but I would assume once he started getting rap money, he wasn't doing that no more. And then you could say the same about Jay-Z. Once Jay-Z started getting rap money and started investing in his business and all that, he wasn't doing it. So why isn't Jeezy's story similar to Jay-Z's story? Why say Jeezy and them invested in Jeezy and stuff like that led to the investment in authenticity and this and that, and which also led to the downfall. But then I say the same thing about Jay-Z and Biggie, because you can say Jay-Z and Biggie were the exact same thing. They both were former drug dealers that got found by somebody with a little money to invest in them, and a Dame Dash and a Puff. They blew up, became rap stars. They went away from it, and they started to do certain things. But then more rappers after them started to follow in that I'm really from the streets. I'm really like that, whatever like that. Invest in me, i.e. a 50 Cent. A 50 Cent was, you know what I'm saying, he got shot 9 times and all these things like that. That's what people want to invest in. And then here comes Dr. Dre and Eminem. We're going to put money behind him, and now he's a superstar. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like saying that was Atlanta's original sin, then you'll have to say that's New York's original sin. Then you'll have to say that's California's original sin, because they started to invest in people that were really like that. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know. I feel like it's not just an Atlanta thing. I feel like that's a hip hop thing that started to happen. It was a wave in the hip hop that started in the late '90s and throughout the 2000s, 2010s, where it was like, we want to find somebody that is really like that or really from the streets to invest in and make a superstar. I feel like that's been a thing since after Tupac and Biggie died.
What comes along with this emphasis on real criminality are the real crime hip-hop commentators, who most people agree are not hip-hop commentators, they're crime commentators.
Right.
The biggest example of this is obviously Trap Lord Ross.
Right.
Trap Lord Ross, if he had to describe art, culture, would be nobody, like literally nobody, because he's not particularly good at that. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd love for him to drop his ways and do something more interesting, like talk about culture and art instead of ghoulishly eating popcorn while people die.
Right.
But the thing is this, the technology that came after this whole, I don't know, the deal with the devil in Atlanta of deciding that it's more important to showcase people who are actual criminals as opposed to actual artists, not a deal with the devil, but maybe, I don't know. It's an interesting question whether or not.
And I won't even say that like, I guess if you're going by the numbers, then maybe you can say that. But I think some of the biggest stars out of Atlanta aren't that, right? There are artists out of Atlanta that aren't that do just fine, right? I want to say Childish Gambino's from Atlanta, JID's from Atlanta, Russ is by way of Atlanta. I think he's from New Jersey but grew up in Atlanta, whatever, I don't know. The Russ always is from a different place. Like, there's some big artists that are from Atlanta that aren't the stereotypical, oh, I invested in him because he was really a criminal, he was really like that. Like, yeah, you can say a specific genre of Atlanta rap, which is why I say he's focusing more on Atlanta trap and not Atlanta hip hop. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's a lot of artists that don't do that out of Atlanta. You understand what I'm saying?
That's sort of the original sin, like I'm putting it forth. This may be overly religious terminology, I'm not entirely comfortable with it. But, you know, along after that happened, we had the rise of the internet and Instagram. And then we had all, the tracks were laid by artists like Young Jeezy to be okay as a rapper, but a real killer and a real criminal.
Right. That's the only difference between Jeezy. Oh shit. That's the only difference between Jeezy and.
Last week I had my happy and hopefully triumphant return to Culture United. And while I was there,
that's the only difference between Jeezy and Jay-Z.
You might be saying, why not? Well, listen, I don't want
the only difference between Jeezy and Jay-Z is that Jay-Z is a way better rapper than Jeezy. And if he's focusing on that specific thing, whereas it's like the skill level, where is it at?
Are not hip hop commentators, they're crime. Along after that happened, we had the rise of the internet and Instagram, and then we had all the tracks were laid by artists like Young Jeezy to be okay as a rapper, but a real killer and a real criminal. And so once the internet showed up, you could have more and more disposable, mostly young men who just go through and are talented enough to rap, to be able to kind of rap a little bit, but are the real thing because people can sense the real thing, and it becomes this kind of insidious, terrible spectacle that people just watch. And then the rappers actually die, and then the people, so you have the commentators who talk about the criminals, who talk about killing people, and they eat the popcorn, and they go, and then that person gets shot, and they eat more popcorn, and they go, and they cash their checks from AdSense, and then they wait for the next guy to show up, and it just keeps going and going and going, because the emphasis is
like I said, I don't think it starts with Jeezy, and I don't think it's just an Atlanta thing, because you could say the same about rappers in Memphis. When you're talking about a Young Dolph, when you're talking about a Yo Gotti, when you're talking about Pooh Shiesty, I don't know about, I'm not gonna say Glorilla. You know what I'm saying? I feel like the women are kind of exempt from this conversation. I could be wrong. I don't know that many, like, you know what I'm saying? But you could say the same about Memphis rap. You could say the same thing about New York, Philadelphia, California, Texas, like Louisiana. You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's the appeal of Young Boy. You know what I'm saying? I feel like that's not just that. Can you say it's? I don't think it started in Atlanta. I feel like it started with, I want to say, who was the? Because I can't say Ice Cube. It started in the 90s though. It started in the 90s. Because I can't say, maybe it started with Snoop. Maybe it started with Snoop Dogg. People invested in Snoop Dogg because people felt he was a real Crip. He really beat a murder charge. Like, this goes way deeper than just saying Jeezy was the Atlanta rapper that was really into crime, really doing this and that, and they invested in him. He was like, I'm not gonna say Snoop Dogg was a bad rapper, and I guess maybe that's where he's focusing on is, oh, he's not the best rapper, so that's, and they put the artistry over the art. And I'm not saying Snoop Dogg's a bad rapper. Snoop Dogg's not the best rapper. You understand what I'm saying? Snoop Dogg's not the best rapper when you talk about lyrically and whatever like that. But this idea of investing in people that are really from the streets or really involved in crime, really involved in gangs and stuff like that, it goes way further than way before Atlanta, way further than Jeezy. That has been a constant, especially in the 90s, where investing in gang culture and street culture was the thing. In the 80s, it was a lot more party music, a little bit more like Public Enemy, political music. And then once you transition to the 90s, gangster rap starts to take off. The late 80s going into the 90s, gangster rap starts to take off. And then you get a Snoop Dogg who's really a Crip, really from Long Beach, really on trial for murder, and people really like that authenticity of Snoop Dogg. And then you get other artists like that. And then, like I said, you get to the Jay-Z and you get to the Biggies that are really like that. And then you get to, you know what I'm saying, you get to a DMX who may or may not really been like that. And then you get into the Jeezys and the 50 Cents. And then you get to, like, it starts way before that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think you can blame Atlanta for this. It's the fact that, first of all, majority of the consumers of hip hop aren't us. It's people who want to watch it from the outside as a movie. And that's been a thing since the beginning, since the 80s, since the 90s. Where, oh man, he really like that. He really giving us a peek inside of what it's like to be this and what it's like to be that. And I think we've just seen that avatar get duplicated and repeated over and over again, especially now in the social media era. It's just gotten amplified, but it doesn't start with Jeezy. I don't think it starts with Jeezy. You understand what I'm saying?
On the culture that can describe the conditions that create the criminality.
And I could be wrong. Maybe it starts before Snoop Dogg, but this has been a issue in hip hop, looking for people really like that, really from the streets, really part of gangs, really like that's been an issue from the very beginning.
Culture of the criminality itself. So, like, maybe that's part of the party that's dying. Maybe that's why things are getting better. That's why it feels better. Maybe that's why we need Kendrick Lamar at the center and not Drake, who is neither adjacent to nor a part of the streets, but yet outsources his masculinity from people who are, like, in the streets and who are actual criminals and all that stuff. He's this, like, this joke version of this thing. You get the street guys to do the work for him.
Right.
So I don't know. What do you think of that idea? Would that have been fun for me to bring up? I mean, no one wants me bringing out a book, you know. But I you mentioned that on a previous Culture United. But I think it's really important because, like,
I feel like there's a weird dichotomy in hip hop right now. You understand what I'm saying? Because you have this point where people want authenticity. They want rappers that's really like that to really be talking like that. Like that's the major point he's talking about is like you get rappers that's really criminals, you get rappers that's really street, you get rappers that's really like this and really like that, and you invest in them and you make them a star, and that's the cycle. But then you get on the opposite end, the biggest investment in hip hop history. You understand? One of the biggest investments in hip hop is the exact opposite. You understand what I'm saying? Is the exact opposite of that, as he mentioned. So it's like there's a portion of people that want authentic rappers, real street rappers, really like that, really like this, to invest in there and to become stars. But then on the opposite side, one of the biggest rappers in hip hop history is the exact opposite. So it's kind of like a weird dichotomy. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, he pulls from those artists, which is what Kendrick's talking about. He pulls from those artists that are really like that, and he uses that aesthetic and uses that lingo and uses those you know what I'm saying, things in his music. But people are still willing to invest in that as if he's really like that. So I feel like it's a weird dichotomy. I feel like there's a weird like confusion going on. You know what I'm saying, when it comes to that. I feel like there's a portion, which is why a lot of trap artists don't get Grammys. They don't chart as well. Like the trap artists have a very low ceiling when it comes to that. That's why when Young Thug is saying I'm a superstar, I'm the biggest artist in the world, like that's like, no, you're not. You understand what I'm saying? Because there's such a ceiling on hip hop, like they're on trap music. You understand what I'm saying? But Drake is bigger than that subgenre of hip hop, so he can pull from it without being a part of it, and he can reap the benefits of what that music creates or what that music is. You understand what I'm saying? So I think it's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? That you say the appeal to trap music is the authenticity, yet the biggest artist that takes from that genre isn't authentic. And yet he gets a lot of the accolades, a lot of the awards, a lot of the attention, a lot of this stuff. Like, oh, he put this person on, he put that person, he put that person on. Even though it's codependent. They put each other on. You understand what I'm saying? Street niggas wasn't fucking with Drake until Drake started linking with Future. Still Drake started linking with Rick Ross. Till Drake started linking with those people. You understand what I'm saying? Drake was really appealing at the very beginning. He was very appealing to women. Dudes were like, oh, that soft shit, we ain't fucking with that soft shit. Then he started hanging with Wayne. He started hanging with Ross. He started hanging with Future. Started hanging with Thug. He started attaching himself to those artists that the streets was trying to fuck with. It's like, all right, I fuck with that. I fuck with that. You understand what I'm saying? And then of course you got the weirdos that ain't none of that just come in, and then he starts leaning more, especially as he get further in his career, Scorpion, Solidified Lover Boy, whatever. Like he starts leaning into that misogyny, right wing agenda type music, and then that's when he started getting that crowd. And now there's just a bunch of weirdos that's fans of Drake right now.
That's a real difference.
And the weirdos don't care. And that's why he's at where he's at, because the weirdos don't care if you really like that. As long as you push the messages that we can agree with, you make us feel the vibes that we want. Yeah, let's talk bad about women and talk about how manipulative and how much they can hold and all stuff like that. Like that's what they care about. So that's why he can still be popular and not be authentic, because the right wing people don't care. They really don't. They actually like that he's not a criminal, because otherwise they throw him under the bus.
Artists
and he ain't black all the way? Oh shit, they love that boy.
How long can that last? Okay, thing number two. Shout out to Justin Hunt. I love the way he says something number two. I just love it. The 10 superstars. So, Stat Quo made the point that there are only 10 rap superstars. And so we were having a little discussion about whether or not Young Thug was a superstar. And the idea was like, it has to be able to be understood by your grandmother. Like so famous that your grandmother has heard of them. I would go one step further and say, no, your kids' friends have to have heard of them. Or in my case, as a college professor, the freshmen have to have heard of them. Like stars who go above hip hop and are actual, not just stars in the public society, but superstars. And my argument is that there are 14. Now this is a super duper open debate, and I swear to God, I forgot at least 3, so you feel free to tell me in the comments. I almost forgot to put Dr. Dre on this list. I was like this close to forgetting to put Dr. Dre on the list. So like,
yeah, because people don't think about him when they think about rap.
But I want this conversation to go, right? I want this to be like my dream, like Culture United is not
I want to see who is listed, because I named my people. I'm pretty sure a lot of what I said might, blend into what he said, but I'm interested to see what he get out of it.
That's always kind of what I would like.
Maybe some names I forgot. I said Nelly is debatable, but I feel like Nelly is still popular enough, especially in country, to where I can probably say Nelly is a superstar. I think my grandma knows who Nelly is. You know what I'm saying?
So we'll make a list. Okay, but this is the question.
50 Cent is definitely one of
Mostly
them.
music that they're superstars for. I argue there's only 3 rap superstars who are more than 50% known for their music.
M.
Only 3. That's according to
I think
my
M will be one of them.
calculations.
For their music, Eminem is definitely one of them. I feel like most people don't know Eminem for anything other than music, and it's 8 Mile, which is a album about, I mean, a movie about his come up into the music. So I feel like Eminem will be one of them. Wayne has to be one of them. If he puts him on the list, Lil Wayne has to be one of them. And who will be the third one? Where there are superstars mainly because at least 50% because of their music. Maybe Jay-Z. I can't see no other reason why people would know Jay-Z maybe his business ventures. But I don't think you would have to know Jay-Z to know his business ventures. I feel like people don't know, like people ain't gonna know, oh, Jay-Z is invested in Uber. Oh, Jay-Z owns Rock Nation. Oh, Jay-Z is behind the Super Bowl. Only people in the culture kind of know that. I don't think outside of hip hop people even know or care that Jay-Z is behind the Super Bowls and stuff like that. So I would say maybe Eminem, Jay-Z, and Wayne might be the 3 superstars that are big mainly because of their music and not anything else like movie roles or because who they're married to or whatever like that. But we'll see what he says.
There are 6 who are mostly known for either visual arts, which is to say like TV, movies, advertisements, or
that would be Snoop.
Lifestyle. Right?
I would say Snoop. 50. I would say 50 Cent. 50. Can I say 50 Cent? I feel like 50 Cent. Snoop, 50 Cent. He said 6. Snoop, 50 Cent. Ice Cube. Can I say Tupac? I want to say Tupac. Rappers that are superstars, a good portion of it comes from their work in visual media. So I would have to say Snoop, Cube, Pac, LL Cool J. I feel like people know LL Cool J as a rapper, but I feel like a lot of people attribute him to movies. Is Ludacris a superstar? Maybe Ludacris. Ludacris can't be for the music, so I want to say Ludacris. I think people can recognize Ludacris outside of music. I want to say Ludacris is on that list. I didn't think of him, but now I'm thinking about it. Once he brought up movies, Ludacris, LL Cool J, well, I say Ice Cube, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Ludacris, LL Cool J, and Ice-T. I would say that would be the 6. I would think because people know Ice-T, they know they know he used to be a rapper, but a lot of people know Ice-T from Law and Order. But I'll see what that is. I think the 3 that are mainly known for their music will be Eminem, Lil Wayne, and Jay-Z. And then we say the ones visual media: Ice Cube, Tupac, Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, LL Cool J, and there was one more. Did I say 50 Cent? I think 50 Cent.
Might be like success in business, success in love, scandal.
In love?
Of 6 of.
In love. Would Jay-Z be on that list then? Hold on, let me go back.
I say there are 6 who are mostly known for either visual arts, which is to say like TV, movies, advertising.
I'm talking superstars. Is Ice-T a superstar?
Lifestyle.
I feel like he is if we're including movies and
business, success in love, scandal.
But then he said success in business. So then, if I'm saying success in business, then we might have to take Jay-Z out of the 3 and put him in that one, right? I have to see what his list
I have
is.
a list of 6 of those, and then I have 5 where I don't know in which category to put them, and that's going to be the most fun for you to decide.
Maybe Jay-Z. Maybe Jay-Z will be the I don't know. Because I feel like Jay-Z is dominant in both categories. I feel like Jay-Z is known for his music, but then I think people also know him for his business ventures. But I feel like the people that know Jay-Z for his business ventures have to know him because of his music first. Because most people may have heard of Jay-Z, but I don't know. We'll see what his list is.
Most of the music?
Okay, Kendrick, Eminem, and Drake. Who did I say? I said Eminem, Jay-Z, and Wayne. Huh. I don't know why I didn't think of Kendrick or Drake in my list. Kendrick, Eminem, and Drake. Mainly superstars because of their music. That's true.
Kendrick, Eminem, and Drake.
That's true. That's
I
true.
think those
I forgot about them. I don't know why.
who are household names.
I feel like Wayne should be in that conversation too. Is he saying? I wonder if Wayne's on his
And
list.
even though they do other stuff, obviously 8 Mile, whatever, they're known for their music.
Yeah. The crazy thing, the biggest thing, 8 Mile is a classic, hood classic or suburban hood classic, whatever the fuck. But the biggest thing from 8 Mile is Lose Yourself. That is that kind of goes into his point that he's mainly known for the music because people know Lose Yourself. I'm pretty sure more people know Lose Yourself than they do 8 Mile. You understand what I'm saying?
Is their primary contribution. That is how they are best known. For better or worse, that is how they are best known.
I agree with that.
Now, obviously, there are much more, mostly visual media and assorted reasons superstars. All right?
Mostly media, assorted reasons. I think that's like, love, relationship, whatever like that.
One's got to be Will Smith.
Will Smith, okay.
You got Ice Cube.
Will Smith is a superstar. Why didn't I think of Will Smith? Ice Cube, I said that.
Maker of great movies.
L Cool J, I said that.
Cool J.
Ice-T said that. Snoop Dogg said that.
Snoop Dogg and Marky Mark.
Marky fucking Mark. Now Marky Mark, I forgot all about Mark Wahlberg. Is Mark Wahlberg? Wow, I don't think he's a superstar. I feel like some people don't. The average person doesn't even know Mark Wahlberg was a rapper. I don't know about that list. Who did I say? Will Smith, I agree with. Ice Cube, I agree with. L Cool J, Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, I agree with. There was somebody else I said. 50 Cent. I feel like 50 Cent should be 6. Mark. I feel like if you ask the average person who Marky Mark is, they're not going to know who they are. They don't know who Mark Wahlberg is, but I feel like you have to be as relevant to hip hop as you are to outside of hip hop to be considered a superstar that can be put in this list. I feel like you have to know hip hop. You have to be in hip hop to know who Marky Mark is. You can know Mark Wahlberg is. I feel like you have to be known in both things. The average the average casual hip hop fan or regular person isn't gonna know who Marky Mark is, but they'll know who Mark Wahlberg is. But most people on either side is gonna know who Snoop Dogg is, know who Ice-T is, know who L Cool J is, know who Ice Cube and Will Smith is. So I feel like Marky Mark is kind of I disagree with that one. I feel like 50 Cent should go right there.
Yes, Marky Mark counts. Even though he was pop, hip-hop, even though he represented like what could have been the actual end of hip-hop if he had a more successful career, he did become an actor because he was a rapper, even if he was a fake-ass rapper. If Vanilla Ice had managed to make that shift, he'd be on this list as well. But he didn't.
I don't feel like, and then the thing is too, what Stack Quo said too is it has to be people that's still around, still present, still superstars in hip hop at the same time, right? So I feel like adding Marky Mark to that, I feel like if Marky Mark drops an album, if Marky Mark drops a song, it's not going to shake up hip hop. It might get like Mark Wahlberg fans to be like, oh, let me go check it out. But Eminem's still going to do 200,000 plus, 250,000 plus whenever he drops something. Jay-Z's probably still going to do crazy numbers if he drops something. Of course, Kendrick, Drake, they're going to still do numbers if they drop something. L Cool J, Ice-T, Ice Cube, no. But they're still around. They're still present names. I don't think Marky Mark is going to have that effect.
Ice is objectively a really fun movie to watch. Your name's Cat. I mean, obviously, the weirdest thing about this is that most of these people are famous for having played or currently portraying police officers.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Ice-T, that's quite weird.
Somebody made a video about that I had to watch too, about 90s rappers that all became police officers after, and how obsessed people were with making rappers that are known for being against law enforcement be law enforcement, specifically Ice-T.
Hostess is Ice Cube, L Cool J, Ice-T, and Snoop Dogg are all West Coast guys. Will Smith is the only one who isn't. But these are undeniably hip-hop stars. They come out through hip-hop. That's where they come
I disagree with Marky Mark. I put 50 Cent on that list.
Yes, you could argue Marky Mark came up through pop, not through hip-hop. But I don't know.
Right.
I wanted to put him on the list because he is a superstar. Oh, his name is Mark Wahlberg now, by the way, in case you didn't know.
Yes.
And then there's the 5 where I can't call it. So you tell me, what do you think? Do you think they're mostly music or mostly other stuff?
Kanye definitely mostly music. Kanye definitely mostly music. Jay-Z, I could see the in-between. No. I can see why Kanye's on there. Because Kanye is as big of a fashion icon as he is a music artist. Or maybe a little, about what and what. So I can see Kanye. Okay, I understand Kanye. Jay-Z, I said Jay-Z might be a little bit in between because some people know Jay-Z as one of the greatest rappers of all time. Some people know Jay-Z as one of the best businessmen, one of the richest black men in the country, whatever like that. Some people know Jay-Z as just being Beyonce's husband. So I can see why he can put Jay-Z in there. MC Hammer. Once again, I think this goes similar to the Marky Mark thing. They have to still be around. I feel like they still have to be a present, like Stat Cool said, they still have to be present and still be relevant and to the day. I feel like MC Hammer is still in the past. People still bring up his name, but I don't feel like a Marky Mark. Kanye is still relevant today. Jay-Z is still relevant today. Eminem still relevant today. Kendrick, Drake, you can say Ice-T, Ice Cube are still relevant in some form of fashion. MC Hammer, I don't feel is relevant today to be put in this list. When we're talking about superstars, you know what I'm saying? He was a superstar of the time, but superstars in hip hop. When we're talking about a list of there's only 10 superstars in hip hop, I think so. Picking a big artist of their time, they shouldn't go on a list with artists that are bigger than the time that they existed in, or exceeded the time that they existed in. You know what I'm saying? So I disagree with MC Hammer. So if we take away MC Hammer, take away Marky Mark, we had 12.
Jay-Z.
50 Cent, I agree with. 50 Cent, I agree with. Dr. Dre. Why can't you call it? Dr. Dre's what else do you know Dr. Dre for other than being one of the greatest producers of all time? I'm confused on that. Beats, I guess? Yeah, I guess Beats by Dre, I guess. So yeah. So I'd say 12. I'll take Hammer and I'll take Marky Mark out because I feel like they're two of their time. To put them on the list with Kanye, Jay-Z, 50 Cent, Dr. Dre, Eminem, Kendrick, Drake. I feel like them two are outliers, two bunch products of their time. They don't exist past the time that they existed in. Versus an Eminem that, you know, we're 22, 23 years away from peak Eminem, yet he's still one of the biggest rappers in the world. You could say the same about Jay-Z. We're way past, you know what I'm saying, peak Jay-Z, but he's still a relevant name no matter what. Kanye West, Kendrick Lamar, Drake, 50 Cent. These are people that are still relevant names way past their prime. MC Hammer isn't a relevant name outside of speaking on the 90s and the early 90s. Marky Mark isn't a relevant name outside of if we're talking Mark Wahlberg, but a lot of people who know Mark Wahlberg don't know that he's Marky Mark or don't know that he was a rapper. You know what I'm saying? Like the audiences don't blend enough to say that they belong on a list with Kanye in them. You know what I'm saying?
Dr. Dre, 50 Cent.
So I'll say 12.
Is he mostly known for his music, or is he mostly at this point known for his antics?
Or fashion.
Jay-Z, is he mostly known for his music, or is he mostly known as being not just a businessman, but a businessman,
right,
and being Mr. Beyonce?
Right.
Hammer. I put Hammer on there because even though he was so famous.
He was super famous.
You understand how famous Hammer was.
He had a cartoon and everything.
Absolutely a musician first, and he was a huge international superstar. But yeah. He's the only one I almost took off the list because I don't know if he's current, but I think we have to put him there.
Right. That's why I say he's too much of a product of his time to put him on the list with people that exist and are still big way past their primes. You understand what I'm saying? Those people are submitted. When you're making a superstars in hip hop list, you basically are making a greatest of all time list. You understand me? Because greatest of all time. When I look at greatest of all time, I feel like there's a difference between greatest of all time and best of all time. Greatest of all time, you have to speak on accolades, you have to speak on longevity, you have to speak on these things that influence, impact, all of. You have to speak on these things that exceed the moment. You know what I'm saying? Best of all time, that's more speaking on a skill thing like that. You know what I'm saying? I don't feel like you will put MC Hammer in a greatest of all time because he doesn't have the influence. He had impact at the moment, but it doesn't exceed that. There's not people that are trying to mimic MC Hammer in 2025 versus there are people that are still trying to rap like Eminem in 2025. There's people trying to be Jay-Z, people trying to be Kanye, people trying to be Drake, people trying to be Kendrick, people trying to be 50. People are trying to be these people currently way past their prime. I can't say the same about MC Hammer. Definitely can't say the same about Marky Mark. I feel like that's why I'm surprised Lil Wayne's not on this list. I would take Marky Mark off and put, what was that last list? I would say that Wayne could be put in the people known for their music. I feel like Wayne is a superstar. I think Wayne was a superstar, especially in his prime. I feel like take Marky Mark off the list and put Lil Wayne.
Wait, did I say LL Cool J was from the West Coast? He's from Queens.
But most of this is like, let's I agree with.
CL Cool J's from
It's just Marky Mark and MC Hammer. I feel like are like red herrings.
I lost a lot of subscribers this week, but that right there, that would be unforgivable. I'm just realizing I accidentally said that. You got Hammer, Dr. Dre. Is Dr. Dre more famous for being a music maker, a talent scout, a businessman who did beats? You know, I think Dr. Dre should be over the mostly music. I think that's pretty clear. And then
I feel like mostly music is where Dr. Dre belongs because, like, you have beats by Dre, but like I said, that's such a small, like it's big, $800 million deal, whatever. Like it's a big thing, but it's such a small chapter in Dr. Dre's entire career. So to kind of be like, oh, I don't know if we should say he's more known for his music or if he's more known for other things. I'm like, it's obviously he's more known for music and being a talent scout and all these things like that. Like when you're talking about a Tupac, a Snoop Dogg, a Dr. Dre, a Kendrick Lamar, majority of people on this list have some connection to Dr. Dre. Most of these people on this list have something to do with Dr. Dre, and it's all music. 50 Cent, Jay-Z has worked with Dr. Dre. Eminem has worked with Dr. Dre. Tupac's not on this list either. Snoop Dogg's definitely worked with Dr. Dre. Kendrick's definitely worked with Dr. Dre. There's only a handful of people on this list that have nothing to do with Dr. Dre. But majority of the superstars on this list that he made are connected to Dr. Dre, and it's all music. You understand what I'm saying? So I will put him in the music category. So I would kind of change around this list and take off MC Hammer and Marky Mark because I feel like the criteria for them is way different than the criteria for everybody else. I feel like I don't know, like he's saying they were so big at that time. Yeah, but Jay-Z wasn't so big at that time. Jay-Z is Jay-Z. Kanye isn't just big for his time. Kanye is Kanye. Same with 50, same with him, same with Drake, same with so I feel like the criteria just changes when you throw Marky Mark and Sam in there because like, huh?
50 Cent more famous for being the rapper who did all the songs, or is he more famous for being, I don't know, the vitamin water guy, the get rich or die trying guy,
which is the Empire
guy, right? So anyways, that's
you say Empire?
What do you think?
You say Empire?
I don't know.
Or Power?
The vitamin water guy, the get rich or die trying guy, the Empire guy.
Yeah, you say Empire.
Right? So anyways,
that's says not Empire, is he?
What do you
think?
Power. Isn't this kind of a fun discussion? Who are the rap superstars? What was that? Cypress Hill song? Wanna be a rap superstar, live large, the drug charge, the big cars. I should have looked that up. That's as much as I got. Alright, anyways, thank you all. Hope you found this video fun. Just a little light thinking here on a Wednesday.
Oh look, he put another video. Let me look at this real quick. Look at this real quick. He said 3 more.
Until next time, there's him.
Let me look at
Professor Skye. God damn it. Thank you for all the taking up.
Let me look at this real quick. He added more. It's like 42 seconds.
I'm about to go to work before the video even premieres.
I saw you added Tupac and Biggie.
I already realized a couple of people I missed. So, on the can't call it, like you can't figure
Why did he add Tupac and Biggie that can't call it? Biggie's obviously known for his music.
I wasn't even thinking about 2 people whose music made them stars, but I think whose legacy
surpassed his music. Yeah. Tupac and Biggie, yeah.
We're talking Tupac and Biggie. And the most controversial, I don't even want to write.
I feel like Tupac, you can't call him Tupac because he was a movie star as well as a rapper, but I feel like you could put Tupac on the list with Ice-T and Ice Cube. I do feel like you could do that. I don't think it's wrong if you say that he is on the list with Ice Cube, Ice-T, I don't think. Maybe, because I do feel like Tupac. Okay, I can see can't call it. Because some Tupac songs are bigger than some Tupac movies, but Tupac has classic movies at the same time, so yeah, I can see.
It's wonderful. Mostly wonderful people. Maybe Diddy. Maybe Diddy qualifies.
Yeah, Diddy.
Because he had fame and now he has infamy. I don't know.
If you put Dr. Dre on there, you definitely got to put Diddy on there. Diddy would be outside ventures because people don't know Diddy. Well, I can't say people don't know Diddy for music. They know Diddy for music, but I feel like people know more Diddy for being the flashy visual media, like he said, being the flashy guy dancing in the videos, dating all the chicks and super rich, super flashy, Ciroc, all these things. You could put Diddy in the other category, I feel.
Questions which we don't need to answer.
Because I feel people know that Diddy makes music, but I feel like the average person knows Diddy for, oh, he made Ciroc. I mean, oh, the Ciroc guy, or oh, you know what I'm saying? Oh, he was running Bad Boy, whatever like that, which is still music, but I feel like Diddy could go in the other category. He's not really known for movies. I don't know Diddy to be in a movie that much like that, but yeah.
Fun to think about.
Yeah, I can see Diddy, Pac, Biggie. I would take off Mark, especially now that you're putting Diddy, Pac, and Biggie on the list. You definitely have to take off MC Hammer, and you definitely have to take off Marky Mark. Because once again, Diddy exceeds the time that he was existed in. Diddy's from the '90s. He's still super relevant way past that. Tupac and Biggie from the '90s, but they are still relevant today because of their influence on the culture. Marky Mark and MC Hammer are like total outliers. None of the criteria that puts everybody else on the list they meet. They don't have classic albums. They have MC Hammer has some classic songs, but they don't have classic albums. They don't have impact that exceeds the time that they existed in. You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna wrap it up here. It was a nice little discussion. I didn't expect it to go this long. It was like a 17-minute video, but you know what I'm saying. I wanted to talk on some points. I kind of disagree with his points on Atlanta just because I feel like the issue that he said Atlanta has been a widespread issue in hip hop. It hasn't just been an Atlanta thing, and I do feel like that issue that he's speaking on comes before Atlanta got into it. The Jeezy point, he sparks that as the beginning of it, but like I said, you can probably trace it back to Snoop Dogg as being the real Crip rapper that's really, you know what I'm saying, about that life. Most of Death Row, besides maybe Tupac, a lot of the artists on Death Row were like really connected in some type of way, and that was the investment. But Snoop Dogg, as far as superstar, big artists or whatever like that people invested in because you can believe his stories, you know what I'm saying? He was on trial for murder and all those things like that. Like, I think Snoop Dogg is the beginning of that, and that's not Atlanta. You know what I'm saying? I agree. I say he could take off whatchamacallit on the list. MCM and Marky Mark, just because I feel like they don't match everybody else's criteria of why they're on the list. I feel like they're on the list for a whole separate reason. Like, yeah, they were big at their time, but it was only at their time. You understand what I'm saying? Everybody else on the list exceeds the time that they were big in. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I'm wrapping up here. Didn't expect it to go this long, but fuck it. You know what I'm saying? Nice conversation. That's it for me. I'm out. Too sweet.